There's a lot of scientific-based data that backs up the use of a ketogenic diet to manage weight. This has made keto one of the most popular diets currently. The popularity was not so much locally, but currently it is gaining momentum, as you can have clients and patients walking up to you telling you that they want to use keto. It's not a bad thing, because the success of keto on weight loss is undisputed. My name is Lilian Momena. I am a clinical nutritionist, and in today's video we're going to talk about some of the nutrition related problems that you can get yourself into if you start on keto. Stick around, because at the end of this video I would have given us solutions that are applicable and they make the use of keto much more safer and much more healthy to prevent the complications that are associated with the keto diet. Having said that, what exactly is a keto diet? So this is basically a diet that adapts the use of high fat intake, lowers the intake of carbohydrates, and moderates on protein to promote the nutritional ketosis that triggers fat burning and limits fat storage. The classic keto diet usually limits intake of carbohydrates to less than 50 grams. In my opinion, that is a very drastic change from our food consumption habits. The way we've been eating our meals, the drastic change will be too much. It will come with a lot of shock, both socially, mentally, and even emotionally. So what are some of the things that you risk getting yourself into if you start on keto? So the first problem is usually electrolytes imbalances. The ketogenic diet has been shown in so many studies to have a diuretic effect, and unfortunately this goes with some of the minerals and the ions like potassium, sodium, and the likes. When you're losing so much electrolytes, you will experience problems like muscle cramps, problems with your heartbeat, like you're palpitating or you're breathing too fast. Unfortunately, with the restrictions that come with keto diet, attaining the RDAs, the recommended dietary daily allowances or dietary intakes for most nutrients, including electrolytes, is usually a problem. For most people on keto, having electrolyte sips might be beneficial, or making solutions with sodium and potassium at home to do sips during the day. But again, if you have some chronic disorder, maybe if you are diabetic, or if you have already an existing kidney problem, or you have some liver problems here and there, it will be wise of you to, of course, have your parameters checked before you can start on such sips. The second nutritional problem is, of course, anemia. The first reason that you are predisposed to getting anemia on a ketogenic diet is because your red blood cells cannot utilize ketones for energy and function to promote effective blood volumes and such. When there is less production or limited functions of the red blood cells, you are bound to get anemia. The second reason that you might get anemia is because there is reduced intake of iron-rich foods like the legumes, and for most people on keto usually do animal protein and animal fats, because of course they want to maximize on the quantities and the quality. But again, you're also compromising yourself because you're reducing the bioavailability of some of the nutrients, including iron and folic acid, that are found in good concentrations also in plant-based sources of protein and non-starchy vegetables. The third reason that you might get anemic on keto is because of the reduced intake of the sour and acidic fruits. With keto, there's a lot of restrictions when it comes to intake of fruits, because the whole idea of planning a keto diet is to promote and reduce intake of sugary foods as much as you can. And we understand that most of our citrus or acidic fruits, like maybe the oranges, the mangoes, the apples, they have some sugar content. What happens is that when you reduce your intake of vitamin C rich foods, intake of the acidic fruits, the medium of absorption of iron in the stomach will be compromised, and this means that the iron and folic acid in the intestines will not be absorbed for assimilation and utilization as effectively as they should, and this will reduce the amount of ions that are going to be used in your body to produce hemoglobin, to produce blood, and this will definitely predispose you to anemia. The third nutritional problem that you are bound to get on keto is, of course, the stomach upset. A classic diet composition of a keto diet is also restrictive in terms of consumption of vegetables and the whole grain carbohydrates. When you reduce your intake of this, you're also going to reduce directly your intake of fiber, both soluble and insoluble. And as we said, fiber is very, very necessary in how your gut is going to function. This is because fermentation of fiber in the colon provides the prebiotics that are needed for the good bacteria, that is the probiotics and such, to feed on so that they can can multiply a lot, and then intake of variety of foods, not just one specific type of meal, not just one specific type of nutrient, usually promotes the survival of the variety of the good bacteria so that your stomach and your gut is functioning well. As we understand, most fat sources usually have very minimal fibers. You can take up a classic example of eggs, meats, because that is what people are going to consume a lot. People don't binge on nuts or avocado because it is almost impossible to do a lot of such things. With a reduced intake of fiber, your gut bacteria will have to look for food. They will start feeding on the intestinal mucus. What will happen is that you will be predisposed to indigestion issues. Your bowel movement will be affected because how your food is going to be digested in your tummy is going to be compromised. Another thing, with an inflamed intestine or a leaky or perforated intestine, you also risk getting or developing anemia. So as much as you want to lose the weight, you need to make sure that you take care of your fiber sources. There are fiber sources that are low in both glycemic and the insulin index, and that is one thing that people need to understand. When you're doing keto, you don't need to do away with vegetables. You can take up foods that are low in insulin index. These are foods that are not going to trigger or promote the production of insulin, and they are not going to break or stop the ketosis phase. And another thing, intake of fiber is not bad for keto. It is actually very, very advisable because they actually act as buffer. They buffer the production of insulin, so your body is going to be in a ketosis state for longer. But unfortunately, there is also the downside of not consuming adequate nutrients, other types of nutrients, because again, fiber is filling, fat is filling, so the amount of nutrients that you're going to take up a day is going to be compromised. And this leads me to the fourth problem, which is a lot of micronutrient deficiencies. You risk getting all the B vitamin deficiencies, the thiamine, niacin, of course the folate, the B6, because most carbohydrates like the whole grains, cereals, the legumes are the main sources of these B vitamins. And again, there is very limited variety on the types of foods and the types of carbohydrates that you can take up in keto. It will also limit the quantities and the types of nutrients that you can also consume in a day. So if you are on a ketogenic diet, what I usually advise, if you're not using it as a medical diet therapy, it is advisable to adjust. Do not restrict too much. Just do a low carb diet and make sure that your meal combination are as healthy as they can be. Take up whole grains instead of the processed and refined sugars. Limited and controlled intake of fruits and vegetables is very important because you provide the phytonutrients. And again, limiting the fruits, the red, yellow, purple fruits and vegetables, you're limiting the amount of phytonutrients that you're going to take up. And you all understand the importance of phytonutrients in preventing and curbing inflammation. So it is advisable for you again to make sure that you try as much as you can to ensure that you consume variety of meals on keto. I know it's hard because foods that you can eat, there's a lot of restrictions when it comes to keto. Another nutritional problem that you risk getting on keto is fragile bones. Intake of dairy is encouraged in keto because of the fat content of milk. But unfortunately, as you grow older, when you're an adult, your body cannot metabolize or even get the nutrients from milk effectively because your stomach lacks the digestive enzymes to effectively digest the nutrients from milk. When you reduce your intake of other sources of calcium, you're going to predispose yourself to osteoporosis, fragile bones, arthritis, and other conditions that are related to low intakes of calcium. The next nutritional problem that you risk getting into is the nausea, the vomiting. This is definitely because of overconsumption of fats, low levels of energy before your body can adjust to keto properly. Before you can shift completely to nutritional ketosis, you will be experiencing some brain fog. You risk getting some confusions here and there. The other nutrition related problem in keto is basically the bad breath, the keto breath. Like you've brushed your teeth because you all want to look fresh, smell fresh, and you all want to feel fresh. When you're starting on keto, because there's a lot of shift, there's a lot of changes in terms of how your body is going to metabolize nutrients, and one of the side effects of those changes is usually the keto breath or the bad breath. It kind of compromises on self-esteem, it compromises on how you're going to interact with people. Before you start on keto, if it's not on medical therapy, please don't jump into it. Start slowly. I'll do a video next on how to effectively get into keto, but for now, make sure that you check out this video on effective ways of reducing the occurrences of cancer and reducing your risk to it. If you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe so that you can help my channel grow, and let's meet on the next one. Bye. Thanks for watching.